Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Safe Zone podcast. My name is Brittney. I work within the mental health field. I offer therapy, workshops. I support a couple of companies. I also do guided meditations, both indoor and outdoor, and for private events. And I also do this podcast. Within this podcast, we're going to always be talking about something mental health related. It's going to be a tool, it's going to be a perspective, it's going to be something that helps you life, human, interact, deal with your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, healing, growth, you name it. One of these episodes is going to support you in some way, shape, or form. Today's episode, season 2, episode 4, is a little controversial. Forgiveness does not equal reconnection. Forgiveness does not require reconnection. Forgiveness does not mean you have to reconnect. They do not go hand in hand. Why I say this episode is going to be a little controversial is because I'm going to bring a little religion into it, because religion is a tool that people love to hold people against and force them into the corner of accepting dysfunctional, unsafe behavior from people around them. And you have to do it because you have to honor your mother and your father. And you have to pray for your enemies. So I call it controversial because there are many people that might fight some of the points that I make. But bet your bottom dollar, I am a research-based person. So I have my scripture in a gaze for all you today. Alright. Why I created this episode? Because, which is sometimes always the main culprit behind the episodes that I choose. I choose these episodes as little like home assignments to my private clients as well. And this is something that keeps coming up. And of course, in our private sessions, I would talk to them and I would share with them my perspectives on forgiveness and kind of capture some of these points. But nothing captures a short segment in our private therapy sessions is not going to capture all the bulk that we're going to talk about in this session, right? So it's a topic that keeps coming up with clients because at some point in time, either someone is expecting us a level of forgiveness, or we feel pressure to forgive someone, or we have someone that we feel some type of dissonance or discomfort regarding where do we go from here after this level of forgiveness. How fast should I do it? Should I not do it? I'm getting pressure from this person. This person is telling me that I should just forgive the person and I shouldn't hold it against them. What does holding it against them actually look like? Blah, blah, blah. So one of the first reasons why I chose this episode is because it's something that keeps coming up in the lives of my clients. And I think that this is a nice little snippet to talk to them between sessions. 2 more reasons why I picked this episode. I think there is a skewed perspective on forgiveness that really encourages a level of self-betrayal or self-sabotage. The way that they push forgiveness and the way that they pressure it and the way that they think you should go about it. From mental health psychology perspective, it does a number on your own connection to yourself, your own ability to acknowledge your own feelings, have respect for them, honoring your needs, boundaries, like it conflicts with that. So because of that skewed perspective, I thought let me share my little 3 cents on the topic. And thirdly, there's a cost to not forgiving someone. And the cost is never paid by them. The cost is paid by you. You out there, whoever's listening to me or looking at me, if there's someone that you are bringing to mind that you have had a hard time really truly forgiving them, there's a cost attached to that you are paying without you even knowing. So that's those costs we're going to talk about in this session. Of course, this session. First, I'll come from a day of work. In this episode. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about what is forgiveness, We're going to talk about what is the cost of forgiving, or not forgiving, I should say, why we should forgive, why it's a healthy choice for our own self, forget about the other person. But if we're really seeking our own health and peace and longevity and all of that, and we value it, then we should really be challenging ourselves to forgive the people that we have in a hard time forgiving. I'm going to talk about 5 misconceptions around forgiveness. So that's going to be the bulk of the discussions in this episode. And as usual, I always end up with some tips that you can use to help apply the chats that we had within this podcast into everyday life. Because I guide meditations, I always throw in at the end of these episodes a little mini meditation, a little mindful moment that you can either do one time after the episode, or you can save it for later for any little pocket of peace or self-care that you want to gift yourself. I'm going to guide you all through a very short couple minutes meditation at the end of it. Yeah. And I also give some recommended home assignments. I feel like I repeat this all the time in every episode, but I also know that I can't take it for granted that they're returning people all the time, and some of you all are new here. So that's why I always give this little intro. So yeah, at the end of every episode, I also give some recommended home assignments, journal prompts, again, things that help you apply or reflect on the discussions that we have. Yeah? So let's get into it. As you can see, there's a lot of writing. Let's go. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is acceptance. It is acceptance of what happened. It's acceptance of who the person is. It's acceptance of the reality of your relationship, the reality of some type of situation in your life, an experience that you had. It's a decision to let go of resentment, anger, bitterness, grudges, or any form of revenge. The word forgive in Greek, I'm going to butcher this name. Aphiemi. A-P-H-I-E-M-I. Aphiemi. That was my attempt to that. Translates to let go. So, forgiveness is in essence an act of accepting and letting go. Letting go the negative emotions or feelings or behaviors that ripple after some level of hurt, betrayal, etc. Right? So it's accepting what has been done. You can't undo it. If you have to forgive someone, that means that there's something related to the past, something that has happened already. So forgiveness is being able to accept what has happened, however unfortunate, unexpected, undeserving that it is, and be able to let go of the heavy anger, frustration, resentment, bitterness, seeking for revenge, those heavy negative feelings, to let that go. Why should we practice forgiveness? Because there's a serious health impact. When you keep that negative energy, when you harbor anger and bitterness, and you have these, you're sitting down and you're mulling over 5 different ways you want to run this person over the road, and you just plan, however, don't be judging me. Listen, don't be judging me, all right? I know humans enough that when somebody really tick you off, we all have some type of violent thoughts. Or maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe it's just me and I just think everybody left. No, but I also have some clients that express that as well, that have really been put through some really unfair experiences or have witnessed unjust behavior, how they may feel towards abusers of their friends or their family. You think about these negative thoughts. When you sit and you harbor on that, when you think about this person and this person running through your mind and taking up valuable real estate in your brain, and you're thinking about that person, emotions affect our bodies. So it affects our muscles, it affects our body temperature, it affects our level of inflammation, it affects so much about your body, that when you actually practice forgiveness and you're able to forgive someone, you benefit from lowered blood pressure, lowered inflammation, less anxiety, less stress, less tension in the body, even pain, less pain in the body. You release what psychology calls cognitive dissonance. Especially, you will experience cognitive dissonance, especially if you are someone that's a good-hearted person, or you have very deep religious or spiritual values pertaining to forgiveness. That dissonance of you are feeling this negativity towards this person, but your morals and values say that you shouldn't, and there's this discomfort internally that manifests into this high blood pressure, high body temperature, high inflammation. And these are the culprits of a lot of illnesses that develop, especially in the female body, right? Holding on to resentment in the female body affects the female's health way more than holding on to resentment in the male body. It affects the male, yes, but women get affected a lot more, and we stand a chance of experiencing a lot more illnesses connected to a level of stress. Yeah, you also have more improved quality of sleep. Chances are your dreams are going to get better, because the Lord knows that manifests in nightmares and negative dreams and violent dreams. If you have those things, those are signs that your unconscious part of your brain is trying to process things that you are not consciously every day in your awareness processing, or you're ignoring. So better sleep, you have more levels of joy, more levels of peace, more feelings of lightness. You increase your chances of, your level of empathy, which is your ability to feel for other people. It's a pro-social trait. It's a trait that makes you a good human. And it increases your self-compassion. Because a lot of times that we are highly judging someone for something, or feel very wronged by someone, sometimes that level of hate or intolerance reflects your own self-judgment, or parts of your own self that you are ignoring, repressing, or disliking. So, as you are able to forgive other people, it also helps you forgive yourself. Yeah? I saw this quote yesterday, and it said, or was it? I think it was sometime this week. And it said, they told me to love my enemies, so I ended the game and I loved myself. Something like that. Something that was a quote. And I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so that's what forgiveness is. That's why we should forgive. Let's get into the the touchy stuff. Misconceptions about forgiveness. All you ready for me? As you can see, I'm very hyped for this episode. I feel very like I've been gearing this one up for a while now, and you know, it's exciting to execute it. Anyway, misconception number 1. Forgiving someone does not mean that you approve of what they did, or that you think it's okay. And sometimes that's what we think. We think that if I forgive them, that means I think it's okay what they did. And I think it's okay, and I have some level of approval, and I give my stamp if I forgive them. Forgiveness does not mean you think whatever was done was okay. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you approve of the action. As we learned about the definition of forgiveness, that has nothing to do with approving what the person did, or thinking that what they did was right or wrong. Forgiveness has to do with the negative feelings that you harbor, right? So we can forgive someone and still walk away and say that what they did was wrong. And I stand by my belief that what they did was not right. And I forgive them. Okay? So first, forgiveness does not mean approval, or that you think something is okay. Misconception number 2. Forgiveness does not require reconnection. That's the whole concept of this episode, right? Forgiveness does not require reconciliation. Reconciliation, by definition, speaks about restoring something back to like its original state. Now, if somebody betray you to the depths of the depths of the depths, you're gonna jump back and be hunky-dory friends with them? That making any kind of sense? And it's one thing if they showed remorse, they took accountability. It was a bad day, it was a bad moment, it was a bad time in their life. They took accountability, they apologized, and they made intentional, long-standing evidence of better behavior, then okay. But I can forgive you and also acknowledge that you are not a safe person to be in my life. So I forgive you, but I need you all the way over here for my safety and for your safety. Forgiveness does not mean I have to reconnect with you. Distance and boundaries does not mean that I don't like you. It does not mean that I am annoyed by you. It just means that I acknowledge the impacts that you have on my level of peace or my sense of safety or my core, my values, my morals, my family, my friends, my peace of mind, whatever it is, my career, whatever it is that you threaten at in some shape or form. We have different morals or values, so I can't put my hand on a block and trust your decision making and your behaviors that they're not going to create some level of chaos in my life. So I can forgive you, but that doesn't mean that we have to reconnect. Yeah, I can forgive you and I can wish you all the best and be cheering you on from a distance. Yeah, because there are just some people that the relationship is a lot more safer for both parties with a significant amount of distance versus much more close in your life and the type of things that come from that proximity. Yeah. Misconception number 3, that forgiveness is a biblical obligation and I'm not fighting you down. It is a biblical obligation. Now, the spiritual text that I am using specific to this episode is the one that I am most familiar with and the one that I spend the most amount of time reading and studying, which is the Bible, right? I've read the Bhagavad Gita. I want to read the Quran. I want to read through these other religious texts because I also know that they kind of say the same thing, but that's a conversation for another time, and that might be very touchy for some people, so I'm going to just quickly walk away from that point. Okay, so I say this because there's a heavy, it's your Christian duty, it's your good Catholic duty to forgive. So I'm going to talk about some key standout one-liners that they pull out from the Bible and then they slap you with it and then they make you feel guilty and pressured to forgive immediately, one time without question, and also to reconnect. Pray for your enemies. I'm going to quote the line. The scripture line is Matthew 5, chapter 5, verse 44. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Do it. But Jesus said to pray for your enemies. He never said be friends with them. Will you see that line? Will you see that line anyway? Pray for them. Pray for those who persecute you. Send some good vibes to them. Keep them in your prayers. But at no point did he say, go and be friends with them. As a matter of fact, he said in Matthew 10, verse 14, if anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet or sandals, depending on what text that you read. So he said to his disciples as they were going out, he did not say, if you enter a home of your enemy, stay. Continue to convince them. Talk till thy kingdom come. Stay there forever and ever and ever and ever and talk and talk. No, he said, don't waste your time. You try, you make an effort, but when you accept their level of closed-mindedness or difference in perspective or unwillingness to understand or whatever it may be, you pick up your stuff and you leave and you take your purpose and valuable energy elsewhere. Yeah? So he did say pray for your enemies, and I practice that often. Lift them up. Pray for them, pray for their family, pray for their life, pray for their soul, pray for their mind, their body, all of it. But that doesn't mean I have to be friends with you. It doesn't mean I have to spend quality time with you. It doesn't mean I have to bring you into my own spaces. And the spaces that I don't feel welcomed, that I don't feel heard, I should dust my sandals off. And the whole dusting of the sandals is symbolic for the act of forgiveness. Let go. Release the hate. Release the feelings that come from rejection. Release the hate that comes from betrayal. Release the bruised ego. Release all of those things. Release it. Forgive them. But walk away. Yeah? Another line that I want to share that touches on this. 1 Corinthians 15:33. You see this line? There was a moment in my life where I made it a point to read the Bible from cover to cover. It took me a very long time. And weird enough, where I was in my life at the point when I was reading this book, and I went in order from beginning to end, this line helped me make one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, which is to create distance between a very close loved one that was beginning to start a whole other life ruled by different morals and values that just did not align with where I was in life. And if I was to continue up that relationship, it would have required me to be in the same spaces as that person, doing the same activities, having those quality conversations, etc. And not worth it. The line that changed it for me was 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. I feel like that one needed a repetition. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. You know those pictures that they have with like a rotten strawberry next to a good strawberry, and you see how the mold is reaching onto the other new strawberry? Or the picture with like the matches all lined up and half the row is burnt, but then this one match stepped out and stopped the burning of all the other lines. It's just different analogies and symbols that represent the importance of the crowd that you spend time with. It's going to affect you. It affects your reputation. It affects how you see yourself. It affects the things that you engage in, the behaviors, the things that you think are norm. So, just saying that as much as forgiveness is pushed as its biblical obligation, I am not fighting the fact that it is a biblical obligation, and it goes as far as not just forgiving, but actually spending time and energy lifting up this person in prayer. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Regardless of the discomfort, challenge yourself, even if the prayer is just a short one of Lord bless ABC. Right? So it's a biblical obligation, but he never said be friends. He never said stick around and wait for them to change. And he never said that there's no harm that comes in staying in the wrong places. They actually said the opposite. Yeah? Misconception 4 out of 5, that titles trump red flags. This person do the world of horrendous things to you. Always tells you mean things. Saying stuff that breaking your body esteem 24/7. The person stealing from you. The person abusing you verbally, physically. But is your mother? But is your aunt? But is your uncle? But that is your father. But yes, I understand, but that is your sister. That is, yes, I know, but at the end of the day, that's your brother. At the end of the day, all your friends for 20 years. Titles do not trump red flags. If whatever that person is doing, you take that blueprint and you throw it on a stranger, and you know to yourself that if this stranger was to do XYZ to you, long time you lock that person off. But because it's your family, because it's your friend, because it's this person that you care about or love, or there's this family obligation of loyalty. That don't make no sense. The math's not mathsing. So, another little biblical line. This is the last biblical line. Yes, this is my last biblical line for all of you. Promise. Honor your mother and father, they say. Oh God, how much times will you hear that? If all you living in the Caribbean, bet your bottom dollar all you have heard that a million times. You're supposed to honor your mother and father. Correct. However, in Matthew 12, verse 46 to 50, it goes, while Jesus was still talking to the crowd, his mother and brother stood outside, wanting to speak to him. Someone told him, your mother and brother are standing outside wanting to speak to you. He replied to him, who is my mother and who are my brothers? Pointing to his disciples, he said, here are my mother, my brother. Whoever does the will of my Father is my brother, my sister, and my mother. Papa laps. Well, what do you get from that, boy? I get what I got. My perspective is titles didn't matter to Jesus. I'm not saying he never honored his mother, because if there's anybody that honored somebody, their mother was the Lord, Jesus. We know that, right? Anything the mother asked of him, he would have done, right? He loved his mother dearly. So he definitely honored his mother. But he clearly, in my perspective, you see that response to me, that says that everybody should be treated with a certain level of equality, and you should only give priority and importance to the people that are doing God's will. So, honoring my mother and father should not mean that I have to partake in behaviors that I think create distance between me and God. I think that honoring my mother and father sometimes is keeping a safe distance so that they don't piss me off and I cuss them out. Because then if I cuss them out, then I'm not honoring them. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? Right? Honoring your mother and father is living a righteous life, doing right, making sure that their investments into you, you're making use of, you're making something of yourself, you're honoring your reputation. Different ways to honor your mother and father, but it does not mean an endless tolerance of abuse and neglect and disrespect. And yes, I'm using the term mother and father, but I'm just using it as a symbol for the titles. Just because this person is the elder, I shouldn't put them in their place, even though they're asking about my personal business for the 10th time. I shouldn't put them in their place because, well, it's my grandmother. Oh, what? I don't want to talk about granny. Leave the granny alone now. Leave the old people alone. Get them a little break, right? You could divert the conversation, but don't put all poor granny unless BrittneyOriel stepping out. That's another conversation we should have privately. Anyway. Right? So titles do not trump red flags. If they are clearly unsafe people, marked by unsafe traits and behaviors, you have to set the appropriate distance, and you have to teach people how to treat you. And sometimes that does mean losing people. But if you are at the point where you're creating boundaries from family members, and I'm assuming that you are at a level of independence of some shape or form, so you don't have to tolerate the things that you had to tolerate when you were a child. We don't have the same no question obligation to our parents as we did when we were dependents. It don't mean you start to disrespect your parents and start to act out and all of that. That's not what I say. But whether they treat you like a child, whether they treat you like an adult or not, you have to show up as an adult. And bear in mind, if when they talk down to you, you stamp your feet and you say, you need to treat me like an adult. That's not acting like an adult. You're still acting like an angry teenager. And last misconception. Forgiveness should happen as soon as possible. One time. When forgiveness is pushed too fast, yes, there are benefits of it. And the whole point of somebody content points in this episode is the benefits, the health benefits, the mental benefits, the emotional benefits of forgiveness. There's also a realistic way to go about it that is more self-preserving. When you rush to forgiveness, forgiveness being synonymous to acceptance, something like that, from the perspective of the stages of grief, the 5 stages of grief, you are rushing the process. You are rushing yourself to a point of acceptance without even acknowledging all the other feelings and emotions and thoughts and experiences of grief that are all important parts of the process. When you rush to forgiveness, you sometimes lose the lessons that are taught. You lose the red flags that are seen. You lose the clear messages that the experiences are trying to teach you, because you're so rushing to jump into forgiveness because somebody pressuring you or somebody making you feel guilty, right? Life has a funny way of teaching you the same lesson over and over and over and over and over again to check and see if you learned. And then somewhere down the line, hit you a little try again to see if you learned the lesson. When you end a relationship, when you come out of a social environment, when you come out of a social circle, whatever it is, romantic, platonic, friendship, it don't matter. Regardless how it went, you should stop and question yourself. What did this teach me? What lesson did I learn? The lessons can be lessons about yourself. It could be lessons about friends. It could be lessons about relationships. It could be lessons about love, about life, about people, about communication, anything. But it teaches you something. And if you don't stop to do that reflection point, you're going to miss the lesson. And the same thing is going to unlock back and come back behind you. And then, again, there's a timeline towards forgiveness and pushing yourself before you are at a point of readiness. That is definitely not the way you want to go about it. It also breaks connection with yourself. When you push yourself to that point, you are ignoring your feelings, you're ignoring your body symptoms and sensations that you're feeling, you're ignoring the needs, the hurts, all of that, and you are prioritizing that other person or whatever other expectations you have outside of you, and you're neglecting yourself. And that's not good. And that's going to mess with your self-esteem. That's going to mess with your emotional intelligence. That's going to mess with a lot of stuff. Right? So when you rush into forgiveness before giving yourself enough time to feel it, to experience it, to understand it, to move through it, and then gradually go through the journey of forgiveness, because it's a journey, it doesn't happen now for now. Right? When you started, there's a timeline before you actually really feel like if you properly release it. Yeah, if you rush into that forgiveness one time and you rush into the acceptance one time, you are jumping over some very important, unpleasant, but important parts of the journey. Yeah? Okay. Ending off with some tips. First tip. Bear in mind, hurt people, broken people, break people. No healthy, functional, happy, confident, safe human does certain things to other people to cause harm to them. People repeat what they see. People act out of unhealed or unresolved wounds. I am not making it an excuse, but I am acknowledging that bad behavior, quote unquote, I don't use the word bad behavior because it sounds like children, but harmful choices made by someone to cause harm to someone else, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? It's a long day. Forgive me. But people act from their wounds, right? And bear that in mind. So a bully is always bullied. Hurt people, broken people, break people. So as much as it's not fair and right what they do, bear in mind, practice a little bit of empathy and question what's going on in their life that makes them behave that way. And that helps a little bit with the letting go of the resentment. When you stop to think about what their childhood might have been like, how they feel about themselves, their lack of support or real people in their life, their own gaps in their life, their unmet needs, whatever it is that have them acting out, just remember that helps with the forgiveness process. To me, that helped me a lot with certain people that I had to release resentment and forgiveness for, when I gained a deeper appreciation for how much adults show up based on the experiences that they had. I mean, everybody could seek healing now, but still, a level of empathy. Tip number 2, repetition, patience, and it's a gradual process. Over and over, you're going to have to say it, you're going to have to write it, you're going to have to pray it, you're going to have to think it. I forgive this person. I forgive this person for X, for Y, for Z, for A, for B, for C, right? You're going to have to say it over and over. When you see them in public and your body has a reaction or your mind has a reaction, at some point, say it again. I forgive this person. When this person comes up in your mind, you see them on social media, you feel some type of visceral reaction, say it again. Write it down. It doesn't happen immediately, but sooner or later you start to notice there's less of an intense reaction behind the thought or the memory, and it happens gradually. So be patient with the process. Repetition over and over and over and over. This is not a one-time thing, especially if it's a deep wound. It's not a one-time thing. What helps with this? A third tip, writing unsent letters. So unsent letters means you are not sending it to them. You are not sending it to them because chances are they are not going to be able to receive it. They're not going to respond to you the way that you deserve to be responded to. It may create more problems for you to solve. But you are writing a letter because your voice is valuable and it deserves to be heard. And your thoughts and feelings deserve to be expressed and put into writing. So writing it out or typing it out or recording it out, or even doing like a chair exercise they have in therapy where you sit opposite another empty chair, you visualize the person there and you tell them everything you need to tell them. And in your letter, because it's unsent, you can be raw. You can be honest. Cuss them out. Call them names. Blame them for this. Blame them for that. Tell them how they really make you feel. Say it raw, real. It don't have to make sense. It don't have to flow. It don't have to be eloquent writing or readable. You get it out and destroy the letter. I suggest you destroy the letter. I don't suggest you hold on to such a heavy letter that you've poured out so much emotions onto, especially if it's like some real wild stuff that you wrote there. You just might want to like not have that lying around. So you can rip it up, you can crumple it up and throw it away. If you are going to burn it, please burn it safely. Don't burn down the people in place and say, Brittney tell you to burn a letter. Please burn it safely outdoors somewhere, controlled, contained. Don't light up and pour it, a set of gas and all kind of, please. Alright, a piece of paper don't need plenty to get burnt. Alright? But yeah, the burning also adds to the release part of it. Tip 4 out of 5, allow yourself whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions, and sensations that come up when you think about the person. That's your body remembering the betrayal, the hurt, the feelings that came up when the action was done. Stop judging yourself so hard for it. Stop feeling bad when you see them and you do jump for joy, right? You can choose your actions and you can choose your words, right? You can't control your thoughts, you can't control your emotions. That happens, right? But you get to choose if, when you feel that level of dislike or visceral reaction, you get to choose if you act on it. You get to choose if you roll down your window and you cuss them out or not, right? But you in your car, feeling however you feel, nobody is harmed from it, right? And when you're trying to gaslight yourself into rainbows and sunshine, that not working. That not gonna work. Allow yourself to feel the feels. When you feel the feels, acknowledge it. Use your self-regulation tactics to help calm you down. And then I challenge you to say a quick little prayer for yourself and for the person. And say it. I forgive, blah, blah, blah. And last tip, remember, again, I've said it earlier in this episode, remember that boundaries are not from a place of hate. Boundaries are how I keep myself safe. They're how I maintain a safe distance for the relationship. It is how I make sure that I am in a level of safety so that I don't have an emotional outburst or reaction to behavior that I know I don't have much tolerance for. Boundaries does not have to come from a level of hate. Boundaries can come out of love. I can have deep, 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 deep love and appreciation for you and not want to have a close relationship with you. All at the same time, believe it or not. Yeah? So yeah, that's all the content for this episode. I hope you all got something from it. I'm going to put up now some journal prompts for you all to do. So things that you all can do just to help reflect and apply whatever the information is that we chatted on this episode. I'm going to put that up now. You're only going to see this if you're on YouTube. So if you're on Spotify and you want those home assignments, you can head over to YouTube and you can scroll through the video if you want and just go down to the end. You're going to see that at some point, right? I'm going to put that up now. And lastly, we're going to end with a little mindful moment, if you may. Big disclaimer, if you are driving, do not do it. If you are busy in a public area that you need to pay attention to your surroundings for your safety, not the time and place to do this meditation right now. But if you have a little pocket of time where you're safe and you could take a little couple minutes to withdraw your attention from your surroundings to yourself, then join me in a seated position. Uncross your legs if you have your legs crossed. Bring your feet flat onto the floor. Take your palms onto your thighs and flip them up. Let's start off with a very lazy gaze, looking over the tip of our nose, loosening the muscles of your eyelids, removing your bottom jaw from your top jaw, allowing your shoulders to melt away from your ears and down your back, releasing any tension in your feet, any tension in your hips and your thighs and your glutes and your lower back. Let your tummy get loose, chest muscles loose. Release the muscles behind your eyelids, behind your eyeballs. Let your eyeballs just rest in their sockets, and I invite you to close your eyes down now. Bringing our attention inwards, switching off one of our senses, that being our sense of sight, so that we can redirect that attention somewhere else. Taking a moment and paying attention to all the sounds that you are hearing around you. Taking your attention onto your breath, beginning to notice your breath, just observing the depth of your breath. If you're breathing into your chest, then begin to guide your inhales into your belly. Observe the length of your inhales and the length of your exhales. So there's a common breathing technique called 3-part breathing, but we're going to do 4-part breathing. So I'm going to explain the breathing technique and then we're going to practice them with my guidance. So we're going to inhale. 4-part breath is an inhale through your nose. You're inflating your belly first, then your ribs are going to get wide, then your chest raises, and the last part, your back body expands. And your exhale, you're going to empty out all your air and have an extended exhale. Right? So even though it's a 4-part, it's not going to be it's a continuous inhale. We're just inhaling those parts piece by piece by piece, but a continuous fluid inhale. And then our exhales are going to be long and extended, emptying all the air out of our body. All right, so you're all ready to go. So we're going to exhale wherever you are. Inhale through your nose into your belly, into your ribs, into your chest, and into your back body. And long exhale out your nose, dropping your chest, your back, your belly, your ribs. Inhale through your nose into your belly, ribs, chest, and back. And exhale out your nose, emptying all the air. Belly comes towards your spine. Inhale through your nose into your belly, into your ribs, chest, back body. Long exhale out your nose, contracting your belly. 2 more. Inhale in through your nose into your belly, into your ribs, into your chest, into your back. Pause for 1 second. And exhale, long exhale, long exhale. And last one, inhale through your nose into your belly. Expand those ribs, your chest, and your back body. Hold for 1 second, release any tension. And long exhale, longest exhale you have. Empty all the air out and return to normal breathing. Bringing your attention onto your palms. We're going to bring our thumb and our pinky finger together, both hands. Then we're going to bring our ring finger and our thumbs together. Then we're going to bring our middle finger and our thumbs together. Index finger and your thumbs together. And opposite direction, index finger touches your thumb. Middle finger touches your thumb. Ring finger touches your thumb. And pinky finger touches your thumb. Releasing your palms. Taking a moment just to soak in a little bit of peace. And when you're ready, gently fluttering your eyes open, twinkling your fingers, rotating your wrists, twinkling your toes, rotating your ankles, and rejoining me here. Thank you so much for your attention within this podcast. I hope you learned something. I know I was a little hyper, and it's not meant to gas up people. I just feel very passionate about this whole forgiveness topic because I've seen it in my own personal life, my own journey of forgiveness, and I've also observed the experience of forgiveness in clients' lives. And being in the Caribbean culture, there's this like indoctrinated, unspoken, I wouldn't even lie and say unspoken, very spoken expectation of loyalty towards people, and it's keeping you bound to unsafe people, and it's pushing you in a direction of unhealthy choices and patterns that you're repeating that you are paying the price for. Yeah, so I encourage you to challenge yourself to forgive the people that have hurt you and betrayed you. It does not mean that you think what they did was okay, but you are releasing all the negativity that you are harboring. Your body is feeling the impact. So do it for yourself. Do it for your peace. Do it for your health. And do it on your own time and in your own authentic way. And remember that I can forgive you, but I don't have to reconnect to you. If there aren't enough signs, maintained signs of changed behavior. I will see you all here next month. As usual, I'm open for any recommendations or suggestions for themes, episode names, whatever you want to call it. This podcast has new episodes every month on the 11th at 11:11 a.m. So you'll see me here next month again. Like, share with anyone that you think needs the messages that are shared within these podcast episodes. I hope you have a peaceful rest of your day or night, and I will see you all soon again. Bye, everyone.